Hello everybody, I am Fuzzyface. Welcome back to the season finale of this Audi series that we have going on, our Project Audi. We are heading into the final race of the season. It is Doha, it is going to be rainy. Lucky for us, the engine is not needed as much as it has been recently, although we did have a really good race last time out in Phoenix. Vettel led for much of that race. He got pole position, our first pole position of the season, nicking it from Lewis and Fernando, who were really close, but somehow we managed to get pole position in Phoenix. I don't know how that happened, because our engine is nowhere near anywhere suitable. It was the bottom of the pile after the last race. We upgraded it earlier on in the season, and then we haven't upgraded it up until now. If we just head over to our car at the moment, we do have it says we're still 12th overall. As you can see, the average is really high with the engine because everyone is so close. We have got a new engine that will be going into the car. It will not be going into the car this season though. It is next year's engine. It's not a massive upgrade, but it is an upgrade, and it will lead our development of what happens between this season and next season with what's going on overall with the car. Just because it is the season finale, let's just go over a few rules of this game that I've personally set myself, because I did have a comment saying it was a little bit hard to follow, that we're not going over what we're developing as much. Just to say that this is pretty much a fantasy game. We're not really playing the game properly. We're using the game as a base to get things done, really. It's more a fantasy of what would have happened if Audi entered Formula 1 in 2021. What would happen if we expanded to 12 teams on the grid? We've got Prema there, obviously a motorsport team in Formula 2, F3, a bunch of other series have moved up in association with Ferrari to be used as a Ferrari development team pretty much. And it's basically just going around that. Basically, we design our new parts here. We do actually go through and design the new parts. I don't really go over it because it is not really a basis for what happens in the game. Obviously, I do use the point system that is here. Just to get an idea, our car basically goes from what we develop here. The AI, meanwhile, the AI is not the best at developing their car. So I have sort of taken charge of that. Obviously, I can't control what the AI does go ahead and produces. But once they've produced that part, I can go ahead and just make sure that part's fully developed, that that part is better than the last part they developed for that thing. Just to make sure that they're keeping up. Because in this game, it is pretty easy to get ahead development-wise. You can just storm through, and within a season or two, you've got a car that blows away the opposition. As you've seen in my previous videos, I think we got Williams up pretty quickly. Ferrari, we started near the front. We managed to develop a car that was, on some tracks we were like 2 seconds quicker, even on a pretty high AI difficulty level. So it's more about just keeping the AI up to speed, making sure that they're developing properly. Also with the engines more replicating real life, say if Mercedes develop a new engine, that trickles down to Williams, Aston Martin and McLaren, who have got a Mercedes customer. Same with Ferrari, that will trickle down to Prema and Alfa Romeo. Renault have Haas as a customer, that will trickle down. Usually the race after, usually the same race that it's going. It just depends on how much time there is between a race. Just to keep things more aligned with real life, how things would work in real life. It's more a fantasy mod of what would happen, which is what I want to get out of this game at the moment. I don't really want to go through another manager series and just go through developing the parts. The HQ is not important to me at the moment. We've got, as you can see, there's only the engine. Which actual building is it for the engine? The test track, I think, isn't it? Is it the test track we need to upgrade? I can't even see it. Yeah, no, have we not even done the test track? Yeah, there. The test track is the only thing that we need to do, maybe upgrade at some point, but we don't really get into a position where we can do more than 2 engine builds a year. Maybe we can do, maybe we can get 3 done, but we'd have to concentrate a whole year on developing an engine. The AI, meanwhile, their HQ is pretty much on a par with this. Obviously, Mercedes do have a better, the better HQ for the factory and design center, but then again, it doesn't mean much to the AI either, because I just go ahead and I bump up what they've developed anyway to its full potential pretty much. I make sure the reliability is done, because the AI has, I've known in this game, the AI will develop a part with 30% reliability, and then they'll just shove it in the car and break down within the first few laps. We don't want that. Also, another thing, just to explain with the cars, all cars are equal across the board, as we can see with the fitted parts here. All parts are absolutely equal across the board, so as we can see, we haven't upgraded the front wing from the last one. As much as I go, if I do actually remember to do it, it's possibly why Van Dorn is a little bit behind, because I haven't actually swapped that from the last race. But as you can see, all the parts are equal. That will go into the car. As we can see, I just make it equal rather than developing the parts. Once we develop a new part, I head into the database, I change it so that the last part we developed is equal to the new part that we developed. That goes for all the AI teams as well, just to make sure that all drivers on track within their teams are racing with equal cars, just how it would be in real life. I know sometimes for some races you get teams experimenting with front wings, different layouts, different barge boards, whatever, new ways of putting side pods, who knows, intricate little details that we don't often get the information on, but it's just how I want to run this game, and that's how it will be going forward. Just before we jump into the actual race as well, there might be a little bit of a gap between this series and the next one, because once I finish this race I've got to do a little bit of work on the database to get all the teams ready for the next season. There's going to be some changes to the team that don't go with what has actually happened in the game. I won't go through what it is. Obviously one of those is the fan vote at the moment. One of the 7 lower teams are going to get a fan boost, so it's not going to be Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull or Renault. It won't be one of the teams lower down than that, obviously not us. So let's just say Prema, they win the fan vote. They will get a massive stat boost to most of their parts heading into next season, which will see them push up the order of where their car is overall. So if we just head to Prema here, their car is currently rated, they've actually got a pretty decent car, 10th overall. It's not that far off, it's pretty much near average, but they will get a boost that would possibly put them above average, depending on what sort of parts I think they would develop more. Obviously if it was Prema and they got the fan boost, would they theoretically follow more of a Ferrari development path and get more of their parts borrowed? I say with air quotes, borrowed, not technically copied, as that would be illegal under the FIA rules. But yeah, will be how it's working. Going into next season, there's going to be some changes, some drivers moving around. Obviously Hulkenberg has been disappointing this season. Hulkenberg with only 119 points to his teammates 259. You could say that Hulkenberg has pretty much cost Ferrari the title this season. Will Ferrari put up with that? It's something I've got to think about going into next season. Would we move Nico Hulkenberg out of that team? Who could go into there? Obviously Ricciardo's got to be unhappy with how Renault have performed this season. Obviously they've developed really well, they've got a really good car. It's just not working for whatever reason with Renault. A lot of questions heading into next season, but as it is, Stoffel Van Dorn does have this dodgy neck, so he's going to be left at home. Pascal Wehrlein is going to go into the second seat for this race. Sponsorship, another question, is not a big part of this game. We always just go with Audi. Sometimes we get first. We've had 2 wins this season. There's not a massive amount of money, so it doesn't matter what we go for. I could go with this one, 10,000, but if we do win a race, it's more than likely that we can pick up 25,000, because we've only had 1 pole position this season. We could go with this one, which is a little bit more. I just like clicking Audi though, because we are Audi. Money does not have a big impact on this game. Obviously teams do have their budgets, which I set at the beginning of the season. I don't know how the AI is handling that, but at the beginning of each season I'm just going to reset their budget once again. If the team's struggling with money, maybe they don't get a better car for next season, is how it's possibly going to work. But their budget will be reset at the beginning of that season, just so I know that they're going to develop throughout the season with no hiccups. They will continue developing. But anyway, speaking about updates, we haven't actually got into what the AI has done between this race and the last race. Obviously we know our engine is done. We know we're not actually putting that in the car. Just let's make sure that I haven't actually put it in the car. The engine is there, because that is going to be the basis of next year's engine. Just to keep things real life, we wouldn't push next year's engine into this year's car. It is next year's engine that we have gone ahead and built. But as we go through, we'll just run down the list. There is not many upgrades between this and the last season. But as we see, Mercedes have made a massive leap forward. And that is because they have become one of the only teams to develop a rear wing this season. We developed the rear wing first, and we saw Aston Martin do it, Alfa Romeo do it. And now Mercedes become the fourth team to go ahead and develop a new rear wing. That rear wing was a massive boost. It was like 110 points that they managed to get off the rear wing, puts them first overall. Their car now, it's still third overall, but it is really close at the top of that order between Renault, Ferrari and Mercedes. We move on to Ferrari, no upgrades there. Red Bull, no updates either. As we can see, Red Bull a little bit further behind in development than the top three teams. Audi, we know we've got a new engine, but it's not going into the car this time around. Renault, it's very sparse on updates this time around. Renault, no new upgrades. McLaren, no upgrades. Aston Martin have made a pretty... I didn't actually notice that. Aston Martin have gone ahead and developed brakes. They've got that Mercedes engine in there, and they have made some massive leaps forward. For the race last time, if I just skip back, they upgraded the front wing. Before that, they got the new engine from Mercedes and a rear wing. Aston Martin have made a massive leap forward here and have gone above Red Bull in terms of the overall power of that car. Alfa Romeo have also jumped us as well. So I'm guessing Aston Martin were below us, Alfa were above us, and Aston Martin were below us and have made that massive jump. It's just that is shocking. So Georgia's got a good car for next season. Lance Stroll is off the boil at the moment. He's got a dodgy neck. Might think about giving Lance Stroll a stats boost for next season. Just that is how we're handling the stats in this game as well. A lot of them, the younger drivers, will get a stats boost heading into next season, depending on what they've done this season, how I think they would develop in real life themselves. Haas, there's no new upgrades there. They still have the 11th best overall car. Prema, no new upgrades there either. I think they got the engine last time out from Ferrari. Alfa Romeo, no upgrades there as well. And Williams, and that's no upgrade from Williams as well. So only Mercedes and Aston Martin have made upgrades to their cars this time around, and AlphaTauri the same. The cars shockingly far behind is AlphaTauri. But anyway, we're going to jump into this practice. We will skip over, but we will be back in a second for qualifying. A little bit longer of an intro this time around. Maybe we'll run the race a little bit quicker this time around or something. Because this video, I don't want it being on the long side. We have spent a very long time going through a lot of things before this race. But we'll jump into practice, and I will see you again for qualifying in just a second. So, practice is over. Carlos Sainz was quickest on track. We've seen that the Aston Martin is pretty quick around here during practice. We're there or thereabouts, about middle of the pack. Where did Lance Stroll come? 24th. Maybe his father is going to have to think about replacing Lance Stroll in that team, because Aston Martin have suddenly come from nowhere and developed an absolute beast of a car, which has put them above Red Bull. Yeah, so we've only got 10% on the performance increases because this dollar track, it is a long track. It's about 2 minutes 15 for a lap. We were better with that setup. As you can see, we've only managed to get 2 laps in on each stint during practice. Not the best, so we're going to have to go with this setup. For Verline, we're going to go with the softs, obviously, the quickest tyre. And we're going to have to go back for that one as well. Not much. Luckily, we got pretty much there on the first run. Otherwise, this setup would have been massively behind, I feel. I don't know what the AI has managed to be. Why do I keep trying to say hey hi? Hey hi? The AI wanted to do. But anyway, here we go with qualifying. We're going to let a few cars come out. Verline looked pretty speedy on his first run, was quicker than Vettel, but obviously on the quicker tyres, on the qualifying run in practice, he didn't do as well. He was pretty strong during race pace. And Vettel's coming out pretty close to a McLaren there. Hopefully that's not going to slow him down on his first run. But it is a really long first lap here as Verline is stuck here battling with a Williams who is in front of him. Where's Verline on track? He's here. I guess we can't see whose Williams that is. Or can we see, is it Latifi? Yes, it is Latifi. Hopefully we can get away from that Williams. But we do know they do have Mercedes power in that Williams car. It is a lot better than it has been in recent years. But Verline currently out on track. We've currently got Fernando Alonso going quickest in a Red Bull over the first sector. Verline, we don't know. Is Verline behind? 6 tenths off the first sector. Vettel 2 tenths off the first sector. This is possibly Verline's last chance to put his name forward for a seat next season. Still undecided what we're going to do with that second seat. Van Dorn has been pretty decent. Verline's first lap is 1.1 seconds slower. Vettel 1 second slower himself. We're a long way off the pace after that first lap. The Red Bulls, who have dropped behind Aston Martin in terms of pure performance of the car overall, are currently sat in 1-2. Leclerc is third. Schumacher fifth in a Prema. And then we just suddenly get Norris coming across the line. I'm guessing he's helped by the track grip coming in. Gets a first place as Lando Norris. I'm guessing everyone's only going to do... We're going to have most of the cars out together pretty rapidly for this second run, since that first lap is such a long lap. It's 2:12. We're already nearly at the point where we need to get back out on track here. Should we get Verline out earlier? See if we can get him out before any of the traffic comes out, although we're sandwiched there with an Aston Martin. We're going to have to get Vettel out pretty quick because this time is running down. Are we going to get this second lap in? Come on. We're a little bit late with Vettel here, although we do have a Ferrari behind, so... excuse me. We do have a Ferrari behind, so I'm pretty confident that we're going to get around before this time runs out. Everyone is out on track though at the moment. We don't usually see this. We usually see the bottom 6 teams in terms of performance. They come out earlier on than the top teams do. But everyone is out here pretty much together. We've got a massive group of cars here. It is Vettel 20th and 21st after that first run. Doesn't look like anyone's actually going quicker, although we say that, and Schwartzman is going quicker. Magnussen is quicker in the second sector. Russell has improved his time from the first lap. He's pretty close to the time that has been set by Lando Norris, and is that Lando Norris in front of him, slowing him down purposefully? Leclerc currently does the quickest first sector of the race. Vettel is slower, whereas Verline is quicker. Have we got anyone else? Newgarden is quickest over the second sector. I'm guessing that is going to be bettered by Charles Leclerc here. He does. It looks like Leclerc's a long way up here. Russell goes into provisional pole. Where is Leclerc going to come across the line? Can Aston Martin grab a pole position here? I think it's going to be Leclerc that does it. Leclerc comes across the line, grabs first place. We're 13th and 23rd. That is a shocking qualifying session for us. As we know, we don't have the engine at the moment to compete with the other cars. We're a long way behind. Although hopefully next season our engine is going to be a little bit better. We'll just skip over that. We'll go down the full qualifying grid. Once we get into it, we know there is going to be some rain during this race. It is going to come around about lap... I'd say that is about lap 13, 14. So I'm guessing we'll take the soft, because I'm guessing we're going to have some rain that's going to go for a little while and then begin to stop. It does seem to be getting pretty heavy though, doesn't it? We get a little bit of heavier rain around about lap 20. These soft tyres can do 15 laps for Verline. We would have to look after the soft tyre with Verline. We're just going to go a little longer just to see what the rain does, whether we do need to swap tyres. Maybe if we go for the medium with Verline, is way off the pace. We don't really need to do it, whereas with Vettel we can try and make up some grid places from the get-go here. So let's jump into the qualifying grid for this 2021 Doha Grand Prix. We've got Charles Leclerc on the front of the grid with George Russell. Absolutely amazing qualifying performance from him. Daniel Ricciardo is third in the Renault. The Red Bull Fernando Alonso is fourth. He's got a dodgy neck at the moment. He does. Lando Norris is fifth. He was on pole. An absolutely outstanding lap from Newgarden in the Haas. Gets him onto the third row of the grid. Sixth place. Albon is seventh in the Red Bull. Bottas 8th in the Alfa Romeo. Schumacher with a pretty impressive lap in the Prema, 9th place, beating a Mercedes of Max Verstappen in 10th. Lewis Hamilton is down in 12th. Sergio Perez in the Haas is 11th. It's a good job Mercedes wrapped up that Constructors' Championship in the last episode, as they would be really a long way behind here against Ferrari in this race. Although, have we seen Hulkenberg? Yeah, Hulkenberg's 14th though, as Vettel is 13th, Sainz is 15th, Ocon 16th in a Renault. That is the best car in the game, and Ocon is 16th. Vips is 17th, Latifi is 18th, Schwartzman is 19th, Stroll 20th in the Aston Martin, not getting what his teammate can out of that car. Magnussen is 21st, Giovinazzi is 22nd, Verline on the back row of the grid. I mean, that's pretty much him a lost cause now to Van Dorn next season, if we go with Van Dorn in the car, and Gasly is 24th. He has to perform a miracle in this race. Let's just see what we can get out of him from the get-go here. But this race is all about getting Vettel into the points, it seems, as we get a good start, but then get slowed down by Perez. Have we still got that run into the corner? No, we don't. We're dropping places here as Leclerc has held on to first place here off the line. We're going to get Vettel turned up a little bit here. Russell has held on to second place in this Aston Martin. Daniel Ricciardo is third. Schumacher has got himself up to fourth place. Battling away with Alonso, manages to stay in that fourth place as he got the run on Daniel Ricciardo here. Schumacher moves himself up into third place here. Obviously, Ferrari, having him in that Prema, see him as a natural successor to whoever moves out of that number 2 seat, although that could come sooner or later with Hülkenberg. Possibly during the off-season this time around. We've got a lot of movement up in the front few cars as Vettel has now moved up into 10th place, up into the points as he makes a pass on Lewis Hamilton. What is the weather like here? It's pretty cool until this rain comes, so I'm not too bothered about pushing these tyres too much with Vettel. Verline, meanwhile, he's still running in 23rd. I mean, we're just going to turn on auto drive with Verline. But Vettel now battling away with the Red Bull of Albon. It doesn't look like we can make that move. Schumacher has started to drop down the order a bit. We're still pushing away here with Vettel. Here we go on a Red Bull. That is Alonso in front of us, the Red Bull, as we see. They have dropped to 5th best overall, that car. Struggling a little bit for race pace. They did seem pretty strong during qualifying. But we're just going to speed up a little bit here because we spent a lot of time before this video going over things. So we'll just speed up whilst we're battling away as we lose a place to Alexander Albon. We're getting a little bit too hot right about now. That is Nico Hülkenberg moving up. And Hülkenberg locks up. Did we lock up as well? We did. Even running Vettel in backup mode, we go ahead and lock up the tyres. So we just need to keep an eye on when this rain's coming. It's going to get its heaviest around about lap 21 and then start to cool off in between. How many bars do we have in between the 10 laps? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7.5. So that could be lap 22 where it's at its heaviest. It might not even need to get onto an intermediate, although I'm guessing we should do, but we might not even need to go onto the inters with Pascal Wehrlein if that rain does stop. Whereas Vettel, I feel, that rain is only halfway up and the crossover point is not that big. Yeah, I think there is going to be a crossover point. It doesn't actually correlate to what it shows on that little graphic. The crossover point is a little bit more than that. And we know here, this pit lane is really, really short. You only lose maybe sub 10 seconds, maybe just over 10 seconds because you cut out. Who's coming around this part of the track? Let's look at this. Well, they were all coming around this part of the track. And we're actually static, so that worked out well. This part of the track, it is so slow as we pick up the camera. It is so slow, so the pit stop doesn't actually cost you that much time here in Doha. Meanwhile, we've cooled these tyres down nice and abruptly here. So let's get back to pushing for a little bit on these tyres, see if we can clear a Red Bull. We might as well get back into attack mode because we're all about just waiting for what happens with the rain. Meanwhile, Leclerc is getting away from George Russell in second place. He's got about a 7-second gap, but Russell doing pretty well. This Aston Martin, which has now developed into a top car, he's got himself in a second, has got himself a 5-second gap back to Daniel Ricciardo. Newgarden in this house currently running 4th place. Absolutely outstanding for him. Has he been outperforming Sergio Perez this season? I think he has. He's got 22 points to the 7 points of Sergio Perez. Yeah, I mean, that is pretty shocking. This is Newgarden's first season in Formula 1. Obviously the game doesn't know that. It doesn't have any sort of inexperience hidden stat that I've noticed from going through the databases, or at least that's in this series anyway, as Vettel has now been passed by Hülkenberg and then gets back past him. We're only 6 laps into this race. I'm going to have to speed up quite a lot as we managed to get past Albon. And then we managed to clear Alonso as well. Absolutely brilliant. We are now running hot, so we're going to have to go ahead and start to cool down as well. We've still got Pascal Wehrlein controlled by the AI here, as we are now on the back of Verstappen. So what was I saying? Yes, Newgarden, obviously, Haas, an American team. Their whole project is pretty much going to be based around Newgarden now. Try to develop a car Obviously, they do have Renault power in that car. Renault have developed some... They did have a really good engine at the start of the season. They have developed a really good engine once again. They did fall behind in the development race. The development race. They fell quite a way behind. They've managed to pick that back up recently. Still had the best car, pretty much overall. Only slightly below Ferrari because the rest of their car is absolutely outstanding. They just can't put it together on race day, which we've seen. Especially with Ricciardo. They've had some really bad races where the strategy hasn't worked out for them. Well, not worked out for them, they've just made really bad strategy calls. They've like gone for the whole race going on the softest compound tyre. Absolutely shocking. That rain is going to last for quite a while. So an Inter, around about lap 18 to about lap 22 is where the Inter is going to have a... is going to be the better performing tyre. Up until that point, they should be pretty even, where there's only a little bit of water on track. But we're going to have to just watch out what we do with these tyres. I think in medium mode, we're actually losing temperature in these tyres as well. We're managing to stay ahead of the Red Bulls, but we're losing a little bit of time to Max Verstappen in front. Should we get ahead and maybe start pushing a little bit here on this tyre? Obviously, we don't want this tyre to go before the rain actually comes. But as soon as that rain does hit the track, how much water needs to be on track? You need... Yeah, we just have to watch this tyre because we don't want it actually running out before then, do we? We want to hold on to this 6th place because if we can... We've actually gone through this tyre quite a bit quicker than the other cars around us. Whereas Verline on this medium is like... what is he? 49%? Whereas Vips is at 51% on a soft. So Verline's gone through that tyre pretty quickly. But we're currently running 6th place. We've managed to get away from the Red Bulls now. So let's just speed up and see if we can get through with this tyre until the rain starts. And then, because we've had a period where we've had to go onto the inters, we can once again go for the soft. And we've seen something fall off the front wing. What has happened to the front wing? Well, that is great. We're going to have to repair the front wing during the pit stops as well. I'm guessing it's because we've been pushing pretty hard. Oh, this tyre is going to go as well. This can go to 15%. We're going to have to conserve as we go on this tyre. Maybe stay in high mode so we don't lose too much lap time. There we go. I think we've got a little bit of rain now. As that rain started, there we go. The rain is on its way. So we can get in, and we're going to try go a few more laps because it's still not on the crossover point. The dry tyres, even though it looks like it's raining, there's not that much actual water on track at the moment. So we're going to maybe keep Vettel out for another lap here and hope that the rain increases after this lap. But we're going to have to go for it, aren't we? We're going to have to get on to the inters with Vettel. I don't think there's any point in keeping a dry tyre compound. Obviously, we're not going to know what the AI decides to do. But Vips has locked up just as we were praising his tyre management skills. We're maybe going to keep Verline out. We're going to have to try something a little bit different with him, although he's gone through that medium tyre pretty quickly. Is anyone else going to decide to dive into the pits? No, they don't. So we're... Oh, Russell is into the pits. So we're 37 seconds behind Leclerc. Possibly losing a little bit of time. Yeah, Russell's gone for the Inter, so we've made the right decision here. So where would we be? And then we'll get a good idea of what a pit stop is. 37 seconds to 46 seconds. So it is 9 seconds through the pits. So it is better to try and get on to an Inter maybe as soon as we can. Obviously, right, we'll just take back control here because we want Verline to push into the pits. Did we actually fix the front wing? I don't think I fixed the front wing, did I? Yes, we did, but it didn't do much to the actual... Didn't actually... Did we? We did the front wing and it still took 9 seconds, so maybe it's an even quicker pit stop than that. So let's just keep a track of Verline here. He's 68 seconds behind Leclerc. I'm guessing Leclerc's into the pit stop, so we're not going to get a good idea of how long a pit stop takes. Is anyone start on track here? So who's currently in first place? It is Leclerc. So we are 69 seconds behind the leader as we come into the pits. And we get out. That says 69 and then we got out 69 seconds. That is... It's crazy. But anyway. Did I misread the number the first time around? What actually happened there? Vettel is underheated. We're conserving on these tyres. Why are we conserving? We were concentrating on Wehrlein, so we'll put Wehrlein into medium on both, and then we'll put him in auto as well. Anyway, we do have some room to push now. We're still ahead of the two Red Bulls. There's a big gap currently to Verstappen, so that's going to allow us to speed up here a little bit. And just what was Vettel? Circulate, circle, do laps around this track. What sort of times are we putting in whilst we're pushing this tyre all out here? Are we going any quicker? Obviously, you do have to be a little bit careful in the rain. We do we do a 2:18.5, which is quicker, a second quicker than Verstappen. Can we close this gap up? Although we are going to have to dial back on what we're doing. We've still got some fuel to recover towards the end of the race. Wehrlein is currently 20 seconds stuck in a massive, not a massive, but it's pretty close here. There's a big group of cars here, like from 12 back to 20 seconds, that are like one straight, this little straight away from each other. But I don't think there's much we can do with Wehrlein. It's all about concentrating on what we can get out of Vettel here. We're still a second quicker than Verstappen. We are catching him, but this tyre is getting overheated. Although, at any point after lap 25, maybe want to go to around about, I can't actually move. If you go below where the mouse is, that's sort of where we want to get into the pits, which might be around about lap 26, 27. So we do have some room to push this tyre. So maybe if we just cool it down, really briefly get out of the red zone, and then we'll get pushing again. We get out of the red and then back into attack. Won't micromanage too much, but I'll just try maybe conserve to push. Might be better. See what sort of lap time we can get in, and we're still quicker than Verstappen over this lap. No, you can see we slow down pretty considerably as soon as we go into conserve mode. We'll get back into attack mode here, see if we can go quicker once again. 3.7 seconds. It's going to be hard to close that gap to the Mercedes in front of us, as we see they're pushing as well now. Maybe we should just go ahead and think about conserving a little bit on the fuel as well. We do need to recover that fuel. The rain has now stopped, but there is going to be rain on. There's a little brief shower again coming, which is why that water stays on the track for a little while longer yet. But Vettel is currently 6th. This is going to be a really good finish for us if we can go ahead and actually finish in this position. Meanwhile, I've got a feeling that we should just step back over here and get Wehrlein pushing a little bit more. He can just push until he needs to pit. Just experimenting with Wehrlein, and yeah, that is a front wing again. We're going to have to go with the front wing repair again, which is why we shouldn't really push at Verstappen here. And there we go with that rain back on track at the moment. Tyre temps high for Wehrlein. I don't really care, Pascal. You just keep pushing. You've got to make something happen in this race. Just keep pushing. And now, at any point around about now, we can get into the pit. So let's go attack. We've got a lot of room to keep pushing on this tyre. Our fuel recovery is going to have to come whilst we're on another soft tyre. Obviously, we're going to have to fix that front wing again. It only puts it up to 40%, but I guess we're going to have to put it, otherwise we're going to hit the red zone during the last stint of the race. But so we're going to have to try and make up as much ground as we can now to Verstappen over what we might lose. So we will be going back onto a soft. 2 seconds. It doesn't add much time, does it? It's only 3 seconds to repair that front wing. It's a really short pit stop. It's just about when we think we should go on to that soft tyre. Should we go early? We're pretty much in the crossover to try and take a route. We've got room to play with. Let's take a risk. We've got to try and get Verstappen somehow, don't we? We know we need to fix that, so we're going early here with Vettel. We're a lot quicker than Verstappen though out on track at the moment, aren't we? But we're going to go for it. Oh, Verstappen's pitted at the same time. We might have been better staying out on track. We thought we'd go with the undercut. Verstappen though has come out on mediums. Verstappen is out on mediums. This water is evaporating off this track, so we're going to get Verstappen in as... Not Verstappen, we're going to get Wehrlein in as well. He's coming in for the Inters. He has just pushed all out. We're going to switch him back to auto drive now so the computer can handle his last stint as we concentrate on Sebastian Vettel here now. 5 seconds behind. We could have closed that gap. We've lost about 6.5 seconds through pit stops, having to repair the front wing 2 times now, as Vettel sets the quickest lap of the race, does a 2:14.9, a little bit slower than Verstappen. These tyres are now too hot and we're going to have to start recovering. Hulkenberg now sets the quickest lap of the race. This rain is about to go. Yeah. I don't think we've got enough in this car to push towards Verstappen towards the end of the race. Wehrlein has got himself up to 19th through that series of pit stops. 103 seconds behind, whereas we're 51 seconds behind Leclerc, who has got a 21-second lead over George Russell. Renault seemingly got over their pit stop demons, their pit strategy demons that plagued them for the first 2/3 of this season. They were absolutely terrible. But Vettel now, we've got like 10 laps to go or so. Leclerc is coming round. There we go, 10 laps to go. We're losing ground. We're losing ground to Verstappen here, who is pushing on those mediums. Just sort of want to recover for a few laps. We're going to just keep things going as they are, and then maybe with about 5 laps to go, once we know we can get to the end of the race pretty solidly as it is, we're not that far off. We don't want to rush our strategy here. It's just sort of biding time at the moment. Maybe if we run in neutral from this point forward now. Is the temperature's increased a little bit out on track or in the air? It's 19 degrees now, so it's not as cold as it was. Are we still losing whilst we're in neutral? No, we're not. It seems to be about sticking. 19 degrees seems to be the temperature where your tyre temperature will stay the same if you run in neutral. So it is. We're holding this 5.5 second gap to Verstappen. With about 5 or 4 laps to go, we do want to maybe start pushing towards try to reduce that gap, getting somewhere close to him for the end of the race. I don't think it's going to be possible, but you never know. We do have the 2 Red Bulls behind us. Russell though, running pretty high. Looks like he's going to be getting Aston Martin a podium finish here in the last race of the season, which bodes well for them next season. And if they win the fan vote as well, I haven't actually looked. I'm trying to stay away so I don't actually divulge any information. They could be winning the fan vote on who gets a performance boost next season as well, which would make them one of the, possibly would make them the best car if they get a fan boost on top of what they've already developed this season. Meanwhile, we're at 57%. Verstappen is starting to go for it, isn't he? He's getting out in front. So we're going to go high and high for a little bit now, see if we can sort of bring down this gap towards the end of this Grand Prix. There's only 5 laps remaining. I don't think we have that much room to push. Wehrlein's gone through these soft tyres. The AI is pushing him really hot. So we're just going to go not overly aggressive. We don't want these tyres to go and then we lose this 6th place to the Red Bulls at the end of the race. We're currently doing about 4 tenths quicker. It's not massively quicker, but can we go quicker this lap? No, we can't. We're slower over the first sector. Are we slower over the next one? Yes, we are. Verstappen's now pushing. 5.7 seconds. I don't think we're going to get close, are we? No, we're doing about the same. Are we doing the same? Yeah, we're about 2 tenths quicker. Let's just back off for this lap. I think we do have enough to push. As we come around here, we're going to have to run in medium though to do this. Half a second slower that lap than we were over the previous. Still quicker than Verstappen. Now pushing this tyre though. I think we've got enough, even though it'll overheat. We should have enough to get it through to the end of the race, but we're not going much quicker because the tyre is overheated. On to the final lap. We do a 2:16.4. Look at that, we're slower than Verstappen. We're just going to make sure that we can get through to the end of this race. We'll switch back up into high mode. And yeah, we'll just accept this 6th place finish. Wehrlein 19th. His chance to impress. Maybe put a claim back on that seat that he had at the start of the season over Van Dorn. Doesn't work out. just doesn't work out for him at all. 19th place, but Leclerc has won this race. Russell is 2nd, Ricciardo 3rd, Newgarden 4th, Verstappen is 5th, Vettel grabs 6th place, Alonso is 7th, Albon 8th, Hamilton 9th, and Norris for the McLaren gets into the top 10. Hulkenberg outside the points, which might have sealed his fate at Ferrari this season as well. Scrutineering, there shouldn't be any problems with the car. And there we go, Seb in 6th place. So there we go, with the final Drivers' Championship, Leclerc goes ahead and claims, he did have it claimed on the last one, but there we go, he finished 52 points ahead with that race win here at the end of the season. Lewis is 2nd, beats out his teammate Max Verstappen in 3rd. Vettel, a really impressive 4th in our Audi, which hasn't been the strongest car this season. If we can go ahead and develop heading into next season and through next season, we should be capable of pushing even higher. As you can see, we're 4th overall in the constructors standings. If we can keep that, Aston Martin we know have moved ahead of us. McLaren are usually strong. Renault should be a lot higher than us. We might not even get this 4th next season, because there is a lot of improvement to come from the other teams heading into next season. We came 7th overall, even with that 6th place finish, which is possibly one of our worst finishes this season overall, as that top of the order was like filtered with a lot of different cars up there, so we ended up coming 7th overall. Money coming out of the bank, money is not a big thing in this game. And there we go, Leclerc picks up the win, Russell 2nd, Ricciardo 3rd on the podium. Get past these, we don't want to see that, but there we go, 2021 winner, world champion Charles Leclerc. Matteo Binotto, the team representative, Mercedes win the Constructors' Championship. Look at that, Verstappen is actually a little bit rated. Pretty similar, but a little bit better than Lewis now. I'm guessing Lewis is starting to lose a little bit, as he's getting pretty old now. It is 2021. How old is actually Lewis in this game? 39. He's about to turn 40. Will Lewis decide he wants to make that Ferrari move? Will he? Interview with Channel 4. We'll just say Vettel. Keeps him happy. We don't want him getting upset here. Pit crew to go over. I don't think there's anything on the calendar. Just say championship promotion, but they shouldn't have turned promotions off, so that shouldn't actually happen. So we don't need to skip ahead to that point. So yeah, that is it for the end of season 1. Mercedes champions once again, but we do have a Ferrari driver actually being the drivers' champion, Charles Leclerc. Impressive performance this season, pretty much down to those first 4 races. 4 first, a second, then he went off the boil a little bit, got a first in the Ardennes, and then there's a massive rut of races there where he didn't, just a couple of podiums, and then finished the season really strongly with a win in Phoenix and a win in Doha. Nico Hulkenberg, no, we've gone the wrong way to Marcus Armstrong. Nico Hulkenberg, only 2 podiums and only 1 win. The win coming in Portugal. Where's that other podium? Where is his other podium? Was it early on? Really early on in Dubai, when he was looking strong. Mercedes, meanwhile, Lewis got 11 podiums, 3 wins, whereas Max, 9 podiums and 2 wins. And then we'll just have a quick look at Red Bull. Alexander Albon, only 1 podium for Albon. Alonso, 4 podiums and 1 win. And then if we look at Renault, we'll see how poor they were. Only 2 podiums with that really strong car for Danny Rick. I don't even think Ocon got onto the podium at all. No, he didn't. So yeah, so a lot of thinking to do ahead into season 2. Going to be some changes to the team, some changes to the drivers. But tune in for that when it does happen. Until that point, it's been a really good first season. I've enjoyed it. I hope you've all enjoyed it too. We'll be back possibly in a few days with a season preview for season 2 of what's changed, what's going to go on, what's happening going into season 2. But until that point, I'll see you down the road. Goodbye.